Feedback. It's funny. People often think that after intimacy, men just roll over, go to sleep, or detach emotionally. It's one of the most common stereotypes. Feedback. And it couldn't be further from the truth when it comes to men who are truly connected to you. The reality is that after intimacy, there's this moment, a window, where the emotional walls come down, and most people miss it. They brush right past it. They go straight into whatever's next. Feedback. Completely unaware that something meaningful was available in that silence. But here's the truth, men never forget how you make them feel in those few minutes after. Feedback. It's the act itself that defines the memory. It's the emotional atmosphere you create around it. That moment afterward is when he's most open, most impressionable. Feedback. And most attuned to what you do and say. It's not about being theatrical or romantic in some overly curated way. It's about giving the emotional reassurance that says, you matter. Feedback. This mattered. We matter. That feeling. That's what makes the difference between an encounter and a connection. And when you give him that, he remembers. Feedback. You want to know what cuts through the noise in a man's heart. A soft touch after, without saying anything, just resting your hand on his chest, letting your fingers stay laced with his. Feedback. That moment when you look into his eyes, even for a few seconds, and you don't fill the space with words. You just are there, present, emotionally open. Feedback. It's so rare for men to experience that kind of presence. So rare that when it happens, it feels like something sacred. Feedback. You don't have to say, I love you. Don't have to make some grand statement. But when your energy says, I feel safe, I feel close, back. I'm not running away from this moment. You give him permission to feel that too. And most men, especially the kind of men who are worth your time, crave that permission. Think about it. Feedback. We live in a world where men are constantly taught to detach, to suppress, to compartmentalize their emotions, especially around vulnerability. But after intimacy, when he's lying there, relaxed, feedback, when the external noise has quieted and all the armor has been taken off, emotionally and physically, that is the moment when he's most reachable, back. And when you step into that moment with gentleness, with affection, feedback, with even a whisper that felt really close, or I love being with you like this, you're not just saying words, you're giving him emotional safety, feedback. Do you understand how rare that is for most men? I'm not talking about coddling someone's ego. I'm not saying you have to manage his feelings or pretend like every moment was perfect. Feedback. I'm saying if you felt connected, show it. So many people have been taught that showing emotion too soon or being too soft after intimacy is somehow weak. Model feedback. But what if I told you that this moment, the few minutes after, this is where real intimacy begins, not during the act, but in how you acknowledge it, in how you let it settle. Back. Because men remember when a woman doesn't just get up, grab her phone, or disappear into the bathroom like she's trying to reset the clock and pretend nothing happened. Feedback. They remember when someone stays, leans in, and makes them feel like more than a body, like a human, like someone worth staying close to. And you don't need to perform to do this. Feedback. Don't overthink it. Don't worry about saying the right thing. This isn't a script. It's about being real. If what you felt was closeness, say it. If what you felt was tenderness, feedback, show it. The man who's emotionally available and ready for something meaningful, that's what he notices. That's what tells him, this woman, feedback. She's different. Because most people can connect physically, but the few know how to leave an emotional fingerprint. And the few who do, they're unforgettable. Feedback. That's what makes him think about you hours later, days later, weeks later. Not just because of what happened, but because of how you made him feel about what happened. Feedback. That after moment tells him whether the experience was safe, significant, or forgettable. So give him something to remember. Show him that you're not afraid of closeness. Feedback. That you're not rushing detached, that you're still with him even after. And you know what's amazing? When you do this feedback, you also train your own nervous system to be comfortable with vulnerability. You teach yourself to embrace the depth instead of running from it. Feedback. You create your own standard of what intimacy should feel like. And in doing so, you attract partners who meet you there. Feedback. It's not just about how he feels. It's also about how you claim your own emotional power in these moments. Because those few minutes after intimacy, feedback, they hold more weight than most people realize. And if you use them to affirm, to connect, to just be present, you won't just be remembered. You'll be unforgettable. Feedback. There's something we really underestimate in relationships, the power of what happens in those quiet moments right after intimacy. Feedback. And it's not always about saying the right thing or doing something grand. Sometimes what sticks with someone, especially a man, is what you don't do. Feedback. Men never forget when you don't rush away, when you don't treat the moment like something to move past, that little space after being so close. Feedback. That's where a different kind of connection is born or lost. You see, intimacy isn't just about the physical act. It's about what it represents. Vulnerability, presence, surrender, feedback. And after all of that, when someone instantly pulls or reaches for their phone, starts tidying up, or walks off like they're resetting the day, it sends a message, whether they mean to or not. Feedback. The message is, that was just a moment. Now it's over. And for men, especially though those who may not have many spaces in their lives to feel emotionally safe or seen, feedback, that shift can hit surprisingly hard. There's a kind of magic in stillness. Just staying, letting the moment breathe. Feedback. When you don't rush to clean it up or jump to the next thing on your list, you show that you're not afraid to dwell in intimacy. You're not trying to escape the moment. Feedback. You're soaking it in. And that, more than anything, is what creates a lasting impression. Because in a world that moves fast, being willing to linger says more than any speech ever could. Feedback. Here's what people don't realize. Men are incredibly tuned into the aftermath of intimacy. Not just the big gestures, but the subtleties. The way you roll over and stay close. Feedback. The way you exhale and just exist next to him without needing to fill the silence. That pause, that quiet presence, it doesn't feel like nothing. It feels like comfort. It feels like trust. Feedback. And for someone who spent his life being told to be strong, move on, or keep it casual, that moment of stillness can feel like the first time someone really stayed. Feedback. It's not about being needy. It's not about clinging or smothering. It's the exact opposite. It's about confidence. The kind of confidence that says, I don't need to run. Feedback. I'm okay with being here, with this, with you. And when you bring that kind of energy into a moment that's already intimate, it deepens the experience tenfold. Feedback. Because now it's just about physical closeness. It's about emotional presence. I've spoken to so many men who tell me the same thing. Feedback. That one of the things they remember most about a woman they cared about wasn't the date, the conversation, or even the moment of intimacy itself. It was what she did right after. Feedback. She didn't rush off. They say, just lay there. She touched my face. She stayed. That memory becomes a marker, a reminder that in that one moment, feedback. They felt safe enough to let their guard down. And the person they were with didn't make them regret it. That doesn't mean you have to sit in silence or follow some exact routine. Feedback. It just means being aware of the space you're in and not trying to rush through it. It means maybe cuddling for a few minutes longer than you normally would. Feedback. Maybe lying there in his arms without needing to check the time or think about what's next. It could be laughing at something small or just looking at each other and saying, feedback felt really good. It's not about scripting a perfect moment. It's a being in it. Because here's what happens when you don't rush away, you validate the experience. Feedback. You affirm that it meant something. And for a man who's craving emotional certainty, who's trying to figure out if he's truly connecting or just another option, that validation hits different. Feedback. It tells him he was seen, not just touched, that he was felt, not just used, chosen in that moment, not just present. And you know what? This also reveals something important about you. Feedback. It shows your emotional maturity, your ability to be comfortable in closeness, to lean into it, not retreat from it. That's powerful. That's rare. And it tells him without a single word, feedback, and hold space for connection. I can be here with you fully. That kind of energy, it doesn't go unnoticed. It doesn't get forgotten. Feedback, because men may not always talk about their feelings, but they feel them. They remember what felt safe. They remember who didn't then feel like just another moment in a busy day. Feedback. And they remember the woman who stayed. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do after intimacy is nothing. Just be there, still, unrushed. And in that stillness, you say everything. Feedback. If there's one thing most people underestimate, it's just how powerful your words are after intimacy. You might think, well, the moment spoke for itself, or we were close. Feedback. So he must know how I feel. But here's the thing, men aren't mind readers. And even the most confident man in the world wants to feel appreciated, validated, and wanted after. Feedback. Not just physically, but emotionally. Men never forget when a woman gives them that little moment of reassurance. Those few words that tell him, what just happened wasn't just physical. Feedback. It meant something. And let's be honest, we live in a world where men are often expected to be the strong one, the provider, the emotionally stoic one. Feedback. They're not always encouraged to seek emotional affirmation, but that doesn't mean they don't need it. It just means they've been trained not to ask for it. So when it comes unsolicited, feedback. When it's freely offered in the form of a gentle comment, a kind word, a simple, I love that. Or, you make me feel amazing. It lands hard. Feedback. You have no idea how deeply that hits for a man who's used to silence after intimacy, who's used to disconnection or someone rolling over, grabbing their phone. Feedback. Or acting like the moment is already over. And then suddenly there you are, still next to him, feedback, still connected, and you say something that lets him know he did more than just perform. He mattered. His presence made you feel something real. And when you express that feedback, even in just a few words, it builds something lasting. It doesn't need to be dramatic. You're not delivering a speech. You're just being honest. Feedback back. You're reflecting back the part of him that made you feel safe, close, seen. Maybe it's something like, feedback, feel really close to you right now, or you made me feel so cared for, or maybe it's playful feedback. You really know what you're doing. It doesn't matter if it's soft or cheeky or serious. What matters is that it's real, because men hold on to those words. Feedback, even if they don't show it in the moment, they remember. It replays in their mind hours later, days later, because affirmation, when it's rare, when it's sincere, becomes magnetic. Feedback. And it's not about feeding an ego. It's about acknowledging a shared experience. You're letting him know, I saw you, I felt you, and I appreciate you. That's not flattery. Feedback. That's connection. And when you give that freely, without being asked, without it feeling transactional or like you're trying to get something, it sets you apart. Feedback. Because here's the truth. Most people don't do this. Most people are too guarded, too afraid of being too much or too emotional. So they say nothing. Feedback, hoping the connection speaks for itself. But real emotional closeness, it's not silent, it's expressed. And the ones who express it, those are the ones you never forget. Feedback. Men remember the woman who made them feel like a hero and a hero human, like they were strong and sensitive, like weren't just enough in bed, they were enough as a person. Feedback. Because as much as men are drawn to physicality, what anchors them is how they feel emotionally after. If you want to know what makes a man think about you long after the moment is over, feedback. It's not just chemistry. It's how he felt about himself when he was with you. And when you affirm him, when you reflect back something meaningful, you're shaping that internal narrative. Feedback. You might think, well, he didn't say anything either. Doesn't matter. This isn't about what he did or didn't say. This is about who you want to be in those moments. Feedback. This is about how you show up. Because when you're bold enough to express affection, to acknowledge what the moment meant to you, you're setting a tone for the relationship. You're saying feedback. This is how I connect. This is how I love. I'm not afraid of sincerity. And trust me, a man who's emotionally available, a man who's worth your energy, he's not going to run from that feedback. He's going to feel drawn to it. It's not weakness to say, that was beautiful, or I feel so connected to you right now. That's strength. That's emotional intelligence. Feedback. And if you say those things with sincerity, with presence, you become unforgettable, not because of the way you look, not because of the moment itself, but because of the feeling you left him with. Feedback. And isn't that the whole point? To leave people better than you found them, to let your energy say, you are safe with me, you are appreciated, you are seen. That's what men remember. Feedback. That's what stays with them when they're lying in bed later thinking about what just happened. They don't just remember the physicality, they remember the feeling you created with your words. Feedback, because those few words, they echo, they become the proof that what he felt wasn't one-sided, that you were really there with him. And when a man feels that level of emotional alignment, feedback, that's when the game changes. That's when he knows this isn't just someone I slept with. This is someone I could build something with. And all it took was a few words. Feedback. There's something incredibly powerful about the small, almost unnoticed things that happen after intimacy. Those little rituals, those private, shared habits that nobody else sees. Feedback. And here's what I want you to understand, men, never forget when you create something that feels like yours. Something unique, something that even if it seems casual, carries meaning. Because it's not just about what you do in that moment. It's about what it represents. Familiarity, comfort, connection, and ultimately belonging. You see, people think romance is all about big gestures and dramatic decorations, but the truth is emotional intimacy is built on repetition, on moments that feel predictable but never boring. Feedback, the little things that say, this is us, this is what we do. And after intimacy, that's when those moments are most natural to create. Maybe it's lying on his chest in silence. Feedback. Maybe it's pulling the covers over both of you and laughing about something that just happened. Maybe it's making a habit of kissing his shoulder or rubbing his arm until you fall asleep. Feedback. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but when it's consistent, it becomes yours. And that sticks with him. Why? Because in a world full of casual encounters, feedback, most people don't stay long enough to build patterns. They don't lean into repetition. They're too afraid of getting attached, or they're so used to fast feedback, disconnected intimacy, that the idea of forming a real rhythm with someone feels foreign. Feedback. So when you do create those little post-intimacy moments, when you show up in a way that feels familiar and safe, it sends a message that you're not afraid of closeness. Feedback, that you're not running. And that message, that's rare. Men remember those rituals because they represent emotional security. A man may not remember every detail of the night. Feedback, but he will remember how it ended. He'll remember how you curled up beside him, the way you reached for his hand without thinking, or the playful way you ask. Feedback. Want to share some chocolate after. It's not about the chocolate. It's about the shared experience. It's about the way it all starts to feel like home. Feedback. And here's what most people don't realize. Those little rituals don't just bond him to you. They also bond you to him. They ground you in each other. Feedback. They build a sense of predictability that's deeply comforting. It's in those moments that you both exhale a little more. You start to feel feedback. I can be myself here. And when a man starts associating you with that feeling of peace, that's when he starts seeing you not just as someone he desires, but someone he trusts. Feedback. Someone he wants to protect, hold, come back to again and again. Because connection isn't built in grand, dramatic moments. Feedback. It's built in the way someone brings you a glass of water without asking, in the inside joke you repeat every time the lights go out, in the fact that you always kiss his forehead afterward. Feedback. These things might seem small, but they're not small at all. They're everything. They're what separate you from everyone else. Because anyone can be attractive, feedback, but not everyone creates a feeling. Not everyone builds a ritual. And you know what's beautiful? You get to choose what those rituals are. Feedback. You get to create your own post-intimacy signature, one that feels genuine to you. It might be humor. It might be tenderness. It might be quiet stillness. There's no right answer. Feedback. It just has to be real. And when it is, he feels it, he connects to it, he begins to crave it. Because let's be honest, most men aren't used to consistency after intimacy. Feedback. They're used to the high of the moment followed by disconnection. They're used to women emotionally pulling away, even if they physically stay. Feedback. So when you do the opposite, when you create something warm, familiar, and unique to the two of you, it surprises him, it rewrites the script, and it makes you unforgettable. Don't overthink it. Feedback. Don't try to manufacture a perfect moment. Instead, ask yourself what feels natural to me. What do I want to give him in this moment that reflects who I am and how I feel? Feedback. Maybe it's brushing his hair back and saying something soft. Maybe it's lying in silence for a while, forehead to forehead. Feedback. Or maybe it's just holding his hand like it's the most natural thing in the world. When you do it once, it's sweet. When you do it again, it's a ritual. And when you do it consistently, feedback becomes emotional memory. And emotional memory is what men carry with them long after you've left the room, because physical moments fade. Feedback. But the feelings we attach to them, that's what lasts. That's what lingers in the back of his mind when he thinks about you later. That's what makes him smile when no one's looking. Feedback. Not just the memory of the moment, but the ritual that followed. This is ours. And if you can create that, if you can offer something that feels personal, grounding, feedback, and emotionally safe, you won't need to wonder if he remembers you. He will. Every single time.